Epsilon presents Stride, taking real tech to real people in association with CNBC-TV18 and Money Control.
Epsilon, the global leader in outcome-based marketing, helping marketeers gain greater control over their investments and providing an enviable work environment. Epsilon is all of that under one roof.
Now, all of us have been hearing about outcome-based marketing. It's really become a buzzword in business. But what is it? Well, outcome-based marketing is the full story of how campaigns transform your business and your bottom line. Now, earlier, if you look at how these campaigns worked earlier, how marketing worked earlier, it would take organizations months or even a year to really understand if marketing has actually made a difference. But with innovative modern marketing solutions, organizations can now deep dive more and more into accurate and faster data of the impact that marketing campaigns have had on business growth. And if there's one organization that's really been at the forefront of driving this, it's Epsilon. Epsilon, in fact, has a rich heritage of helping marketers anticipate, activate, and even prove measurable business outcomes. To understand more about this and also what really makes Epsilon India special, we're joined by two of its leaders, Mr. Ashish Sinha, who is the Managing Director for India, APAC and MEA Epsilon, as well as Mr. Prabhu Kannan, who is the Managing Director, Loyalty for Epsilon. Thank you both so much for joining us on the show. Before we get into the world of marketing and outcomes in business, tell us a bit about Epsilon India, what really makes it special, and what have you done in really building a high performance, high trust culture? Because that's so difficult to do these days, especially when you're dealing with Gen Z and millennials, where it's really tough to keep meeting their expectations, keep them interested in their job. So tell me what you guys have done differently.
Yeah, so I think the joy of being in Epsilon here is essentially building right solutions for complex marketing problems in that sense. And I think Epsilon is the only unique company out there that's solving marketers' problems using technology, data, and a bit dose of creative. And I think that's one of the key areas that we find ourselves so unique, and we are able to create the right level of high-performing teams to support us in that journey.
Chandra, the joy for me in being part of Epsilon is really the entrepreneurial culture we have here. And the fact is that millennials are looking to be entrepreneurs, they're looking to be owners, and that's what we do a lot of. We give ownership to our associates, so whether you're an associate or a senior vice president, you're tasked with responsibilities, and it's really for you to deliver. And that drives fantastic behavior. So for me, it's about giving ownership to our associates. I think that gives me joy because I get to be play a very free role. And it also, I can see my employees getting very excited by that culture.
Right. Ashish, Epsilon has also been certified as a great place to work in 2022. So can you take us through some of the measures that you've been putting in place? Everybody is talking about the future of workplace, how hybrid has perhaps become a permanent feature. But can you tell us what you've been doing differently, the measures that you've been putting in place to give a better experience for your employees?
Chandra, you've actually taken the word I was going to put out there, which is experiences. I think, we as a marketing company and the brands we help and the brands that try to market, we keep talking about consumer experiences and customer experiences, but I think we have to take employee experience probably as seriously, if not more. And so from the time that we meet candidates who are interviewing with us, all the way when they're in Epsilon and when we're growing them, the most important thing is to make sure that they're having great experiences, whether it's about their growth, whether it's about enjoying their interactions with managers. We really focus on those experiences. One of the big things I feel the Gen Z is looking for is mission and purpose, and where am I going? And in Epsilon, we take that very, very seriously. In fact, we have a very, very special growth program where we where we have a lot of mobility of associates. In fact, Prabhu can give you an experience of kind of what he's seen.
Yeah, and Great Place to Work is not just a award that we got here, but I can speak from my personal opportunities that I've had. When I joined 6 years back, I came in to do a certain role, and I think I have done 4 different roles in addition to what I came in to do 6 years back, both here in India as well as when I moved back to US 3 years back, actually. So I'm a testament of how Epsilon provides opportunities for all associates who can make impact across the organization. There is no limit in terms of how I can grow in this organization, and that to me is a great place to work.
Right. Ashish and Prabhu, I also wanted to get your insights. Given your role, the role that your platform plays, we started by talking about outcome-based marketing and data-driven outcome-based marketing. Can you give us a sense of how the relationship has evolved between brands and consumers? Because at least on the face of it, if I look at it today, consumers seem to be more empowered than ever, but at the same time, a lot of them also complain about how service standards have been falling. So can you give us a sense of the relationship between brands and consumers, how this has been evolving?
Yeah, I think the relationship between consumers and the brands have shifted significantly in the last decade or so, if you look at it. I think the new age consumers want both value and values. So it's important for brands to understand this context and see how they are really interacting with the consumers. And we have seen a number of opportunities for brands to kind of use Epsilon, where we come in with the understanding of both the consumers and the brands to help them actually communicate and engage in the ways that actually consumers want to be engaged in and wherever they want to be engaged in. I think there's a significant shift in terms of balance of who is in control of this conversation between consumers and brands, and today it's consumers that are driving that conversation forward. And I think brands are really figuring out a way to actually stay ahead and stay at least lockstep with consumers' needs.
Yeah, no, Prabhu, totally agree. Really, the power has shifted to the consumer. I look at sort of a framework which I've been hearing a lot of recently, the 4 A's, and that's really around the consumer. The consumer can buy anything, anywhere, anytime, in any way he or she wants to. And a good example of that is buying something at midnight, on Amazon and paying it by Google Pay, right? The consumer really has taken charge of that relationship. And I think what brands need to do is to figure out a way of not controlling, but engaging with the consumer in that sort of power equation. It's critical now for marketers to really think about technology, because I believe technology plays a big role in ensuring that the conversation between consumers and brands stays engaging and stays relevant. So it's interesting times.
Right. Ashish, interestingly, you spoke about the 4 A's. The 5th A that I wanted to ask you about is AI, or artificial intelligence, because brands increasingly are relying on AI chatbots when it comes to customer service, when it comes to even, grievance redressal. Has this improved the experience, worsened the experience? What more can be done in this respect?
Well, I can tell you that whenever I see a chatbot, I quickly close the browser. So it tells you about my faith in chatbots. No, I think AI is still evolving, and I do believe that there's a lot of hue and cry around it. But I think the actual application and usage of AI is very mature. So there's still a lot to be done. AI is going to be needed because we're talking about massive scale. We're talking about trying, a brand reaching out to millions of consumers, and not with sort of one message, but with a million messages, because the brand has to talk to each individual, because that's the way the world is moving. So they will have to use technology and AI and machine learning, but there's a long way to go. I think we have to wait for, my sense is that we have to wait for a benchmark company to really come out there and for consumers to say that our experience with the interface for this brand is fabulous. And I don't think that's really happened yet. So I would say time will tell. It's going to happen, but we still have some time to go. I don't know, Prabhu, whether you have a view on
No,
AI.
I think technologies like machine learning are key to actually interacting with consumers real time. And I think if you want individual interactions to inform the next set of interactions with your brand, you got to have the right technologies that allows you to actually use that real time understanding of the consumer behavior with your brand and react to it in real time. I think so those technologies are absolutely critical to our ability to get brands to engage with consumers on an ongoing basis.
Moving on, I also wanted to understand, connecting one-on-one with consumers, with customers has become imperative for many businesses today. Now, how does this square with the conventional mediums of marketing? Where does the twain meet? Is it possible for both to happen at the same time?
No, it's a really interesting question. I have a strong perspective here. And the perspective is, traditional marketing has been very, very focused, especially in this region, on acquiring customers. And that's a pretty expensive proposition when you go out and try and hunt for new customers for your brand. What we need to spend much more time and effort on is to retain our existing customers, people who have bought our products. How do you keep engaging them? How do you keep making sure that they are seen or they feel special? You get taught this in B school, right? The cost of retention is way lower than the cost of acquisition. With 10 campaigns that I send out trying to acquire, I could probably send out 2 campaigns and get an existing customer to buy something. And that really helps. That helps with the media spend, that helps with quick go-to-market, helps with your top line. And so I think for me, the new age marketing and again, the kind of platforms you develop are all about what can you do differently with your existing customers. And I think that's where the focus is. And not just as segments, but as individuals. Just the way Prabhu has specific likes and dislikes, I have specific likes and dislikes. And the brand has to recognize that and has to do that for millions of customers. So for me, it's about making sure that, yes, we can acquire customers because that's kind of where the money used to go. But the big ask is to make sure that you're taking care of your existing customers, which is what new technology does very, very well.
Right. Prabhu, interestingly, you're in India after 3 years. Can you tell us, your own observations in terms of how things have changed at the workplace or otherwise in terms of how the working environment itself has changed?
Yeah, first of all, great to be here after 3 years. It's exciting. This is where I started the journey with Epsilon, and we were, when I joined, I think we were 400, 500 people in Epsilon India. Now we are touching 3,000 folks in India. And so it's great to see the growth, and it's also very exciting to see the familiar faces walking the hallways here. Actually, the people that we worked together 3 years back and working still here, but grown up a little bit more and with a lot more accountability and ownership that they have taken to take the company's problems and clients' problems and actually going forward with the solutions innovatively is very heartening to see. So it's exciting to see almost the young kids growing up to be an adult and kind of taking ownership of the problems that they are solving for our clients, and it's great to see that.
Home indeed, despite the traffic in Bengaluru. But on that note, thank you very much, Ashish and Prabhu, for joining us in this show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Epsilon presents Stride, taking real tech to real people in association with CNBC-TV18 and Money Control.